so much for joining us today. We have a very special guest with us today. Our first guest joining us is Yael Green from Los Angeles, California. They are a water technologist, educator, and guide. So Yael is a hybrid human with a specific mission to help humanity during this time of transition and upgrade. As an ambassador of hybrid technologies and the living portal to other dimensions, Yael innately balances and harmonizes space, returning to a state of neutrality. Operating with integrated crystalline DNA in a highly plasmic state, she channels access to other dimensions in real time. She embodies an extensive knowledge of sacred geometry, balance, harmony, and is experienced in reading and recalibrating the energy of portals back to their highest integrity. Yael uses technological understanding of the non-physical to activate and imprint the earth grids and the waters to return to their original state of neutrality.
Yael has a bachelor's and master's in business and nonprofit management and a clinical doctorate in physical therapy. They have spent the last 25 years in the fields of organizational and systems management, physical therapy, somatics, sound healing, and education. Yael now focuses on paradigm shifts through system repatterning. I can never say that word right. Dimensional energetics and movement.
So, just from your intro on your website, we already have so many questions. But before we dive into all of that, we want to give you a chance to just introduce yourself, give a little bit of your story to our viewers, and let them know who you are, why you're here, and all that nice stuff.
Okay. Why am I here? Well, I am here on this planet at this time because we've been waiting
for time to speed up. We've been waiting for a balance to happen with the harmonics of humanity in relation to the galactic and the planet, because right now we've got a mixture of people asleep, people highly sensitive, and people somewhere in the middle. And we're trying to come to a balance of people that are highly sensitive are able to actually fall asleep a bit. People that are asleep are able to become a little bit more sensitive. Right. This is this process of awakening. We focus on awakening so much that there are also many sensitives that need to find a way to be in the body in a way that they can actually fall asleep. So we're not working towards one way of being. We're working towards a balanced energy system. So I'm on this planet right now to help understand this transition and this process, and allowing not only the physical system, which is very important, but also the energetics to return to their natural state, which is being able to deeply listen to the harmonics of everything around us, and to have a reciprocating relationship with everything, with the plants, with the earth, with the energetics coming from galactic movements. So it's about reigniting that conversation and allowing the noise to slow down a bit so that we can develop these listening skills to hear what's happening. We're so desperate for relationship, and we've gone outside of ourselves to hear voice and to figure out if external to us is our own voice, and to compare that. And what we're now trying to see is that it's not about that. We're just craving a relationship with beings that may be in a non-physical form as this particular body. And so teaching that way, and this is the way of the water, this is the plasmic state that the physical body moves within, that everything, every being, every plant, every animal, the soil itself, the stars, everything is composed of this factor of water. And that allows us communication to happen and have this reciprocity of information flow back and forth. So we don't need to be looking outside. We're looking for a relationship and deep listening to what's already here. So that's why I'm here.
Wow. I love that. And I feel like I've definitely been figuring myself out, but I aspire to be able to answer the question, why am I here?
That-
exactly
yeah.
like that, with that confidence and sureness. Thank you. That was awesome. I really do think that is such an important thing also, is to bring that balance. And that's what I've been trying to just do,
Yeah,
just
like in
within myself,
yeah.
so that I can also teach it to others like you're trying to do, or like you're doing. But today I had a moment and this song came on, and it was just playing shuffle while I was working out, but there was a voice playing over. It was just kind of some like frequencies, some sound tones, very, very nice feeling sound frequencies. And it was like basically saying what you were saying: slow down, listen to what's around you, listen your thoughts, create your reality. I'm speaking to you as you're not a human, because I believe you're not. And it was just basically like this message, I guess, for everybody, starseeds, light workers. But I felt that stillness, and I felt myself. I was like, oh, let me take a few deep breaths, because I've been go since I left the house this morning. And I've been trying to bring that as a daily practice, is to just take a few moments of the stillness and take a few deep breaths, and just becoming more conscious throughout the day constantly. And it's crazy to realize how unconscious I have been, and how I guess asleep I have been for so many years, versus
very like in unbalanced percentage of being like, whoa.
yeah. So it's really, really nice to start feeling that consciousness, and asking myself, hey, do I want to do this because I've been doing it every day, or do I want to choose something different today and not do things purely out of habit and the robot mode? So
yeah, try to keep yourself more aware.
Yeah, that's my little take on that.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, if you don't mind telling us, basically, I guess we call it like your origin story.
Yeah.
What you had told us about when we met on Zoom, because I thought that was super fascinating, and I would love for our viewers to be able to hear something like that, if you'd like to share.
Yeah, I think what in general the origin stories allow us to have is a reconnection point to others within our system.
Right.
It helps to really create a matrix of how small we are.
Yeah.
Really, we've gone on this path of mind reality creation, and in getting back to our natural energetic creation, it reminds us that we are made of all of these seeds of material that is within our galaxies. And knowing that allows the density of our physical body to start to take on a different vibration, because what you said just a moment ago of it's about connecting with a vibrational pattern that resonates to the fact that we have been here such a blip of time, and the material around us that we have been made of is billions and billions and billions of years old, and that we are in service to that. So going back to the origin story, I mean, I think moving from the origin story is that we were all that material.
Right.
And that's our biggest piece. Certainly we personalize it because it allows us to expand into it. And one of our shifts and our work is that we have expanded beyond capacity of remembering our place within this matrix.
Yeah.
We've placed ourselves in an importance that creates an amount of suffering in this physical density and doesn't allow us to unattach from that importance that we've placed on ourselves. Given that, the story that I have placed on this experience is that, and this certainly feels true. Will it feel true when I'm out of this body? No. But it's the truth in this body, and it gives me a choice to walk around with this story in existence, but also gives me the opportunity to change and shift that story at any moment. And first of all, I'd love to offer that to people, in that we're not trying to get to this higher place that we are these beings of this. Like, we're in the body. That is what we are. My story that I place on this is that it is my first time here, which is for me true. And the reality that I've created is the memory of being placed on this planet and not having any karma to work with. It's for me that I don't hold on to the same patterns and the way that is expected to be. I don't move through the world in that same way.
Right.
And so anyone can have that story. That's the other thing. It's the choice that we can play in this realm. And that's why we're in this realm, is to be able to have that playfulness and to disattach from everything that's been put on us. So that's, I have a very strong memory of everything that I have done. I come from a ship energy. My material hasn't been on this planet. There's a specific configuration of materials that I am made of that allows me to be able to hold a plasmic space for people in a way that expands them, just like what's happening right now, to know that there is complete possibility wider than you could have ever imagined. And that the process through this is wave-like. The process through this is flow. And so I walked through with someone recently of let's create a death on this planet, because that's where this motion is moving to, and allow those processes to occur. And this is how that all happens. And so that's what I would say is my origin story, but also allowing everyone to create their own, really.
Right.
No, 100%, I agree there.
No, for real, because you do create your own, you choose your own.
You choose the reality you subscribe to, and true following and belief in something.
And you can subscribe to a different channel pretty much at any moment, whenever you want to. You can change that narrative, change that story. And that's a huge thing I've been learning lately, is that at any point in time, I can change my perspective and completely change my experience. That's the crazy thing. But okay, I guess we can start off with the million questions that we have. So my first question, so I know you do a lot of water sessions. I know you said it's different depending on the body of water that you're working in, but maybe give us kind of an example of what a session like that looks like. What happens? I remember you were telling us about that one girl that you did a session with, but I kind of want to know what that looks like.
Yeah, the water work, I mean, it spans across physical. So yes, I do work in the water, and also most of the time, every session that I engage with, even when I do these podcasts, actually, there's every time there's something like, I just did one with people in Sedona, like there's a storm right after this. Or I just did a session the other day and someone's like, the water has been out and finally got it fixed, and now it's like exploding everywhere. Or I had someone message me saying, I listened to this and we get our spring water and this is the first time it dumped all over our car. So water has its own energy, whether whether it's something we're in or not. It's the characteristics of it. It's how it lives. So even in a session that I'm doing that's a Zoom session, or an in person that has nothing to do, we're not in the water itself. But
we are water.
Exactly. So it's the movement of the body that's in front, which is
Right.
water, and we're communicating through that medium of water, of this plasmic state. That's how information happens
I never
within the
looked at it like that.
cells, outside the cells, inside the cells. That's how communication happens. And that's how it flows through the body. We talk about, why do we need magnesium? Because it's a conductor of energy. It helps the nervous system to send the electric messages it does from either afferent or efferent from or to the brain from the body parts, hence the magnesium within the cellular structure. When we work actually in the water, and it can be a quick process anywhere, but it's just, it's nice to be in the substance itself, because there's no one that doesn't want to, even if someone's never been to the ocean or a body of water, because there are many people that have never done that.
I can't imagine.
There's kids in Mexico who have never been to the water because they live inland, and they don't have any money, so they have never been to an ocean, which may be 30 minutes away from them. So there's some people have never been to bodies of water.
I feel very
privileged. Yeah,
I feel very privileged, very grateful. I mean, just this last week we were out at the beach in Florida, St. Augustine, and it was breathtakingly beautiful. And
Yeah.
3 of the days that we were there, we were at the beach and just floating in the ocean, floating in the waves, letting that water, just feeling the incredible energy in that sea.
I was like, the sea has a really
like
different vibe than most bodies of water to me.
Definitely.
Yeah,
But
that is very true.
yeah, I feel incredibly blessed just knowing that some people have never even seen an ocean.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah. When I first, there's a lot of things where, like, I don't know, I used to take for granted like how often I went to like concerts even, and I would just reflect back and be like, wow, like some people have never been to a concert. There's a lot of different things where like some people have never done these things, and I don't know, I find as like an adult that reminding myself of all these like things when I'm doing things is what keeps me like continually being very like grateful for every like small thing. I'm just like every little thing, like there's someone who's never experienced that or like doesn't have that like luxury, and so it's like this is I'm very grateful for every little and big thing.
And there's some of us who have never experienced the deep connection and listening to nature, that those who walk the land in Africa know exactly where water is, that they know exactly the pathway that has been walked before to get to places that are nourishing for them.
Right.
There's no way any of us would be able to do that.
I get out there and it's so hot.
I feel like I'm just gonna pick a direction and just keep walking and hope
then
I
be
find
the
something.
opposite direction.
Literally.
Like that. Yeah.
Like it's
and they hear.
really,
But that
They
it's
hear.
yeah.
They exactly. It's
so
the attunement.
amazing.
And that's what I desire just with nature and existence.
Feeling that connected.
Yeah. And I really, since I've been doing the barefoot grounding religiously every single day, every morning when I wake up,
right when I wake up,
it
makes a big difference.
So much more. And then I've started to feel it throughout the day as well, and not just for the first few hours in the morning after the meditation. I feel real good, but sometimes by the evening. But yesterday I really sorry, my Zoom is telling me we're about to run out of time, so let me go ahead and upgrade that real quick. I'll just give me a second. Our little family feud thing. All right, we have unlimited minutes. We're back. I didn't know that I had to pay to host meetings, guys. Obviously we're new to the Zoom.
I've never used Zoom until now.
Thanks for being patient with us. Yeah, I didn't have to use it. I was not in school during the pandemic, so I never fell into that wave.
And my work never used it.
Yep, my work never used it either. So I'm just we have been just kind of figuring it out, going with the flow of it.
Okay, so I guess on your website you talked about sound healing, and I know you do a lot of like water stuff now. So I was really curious with sound healing, what all I guess it's kind of like a summary, what all that entails, And just like if someone was very new trying to, go about like sound healing, what is, something like small that you would recommend someone, that could be watching, being like, that sounds like something that could be really helpful for me. What could they kind of start with?
Mhm. Well, sound, as we know, is really just a frequency, right? It's the hertz. So everything has a hertz resonance.
Right.
Whether we can hear it, right? There's the certain amount of hertz that we can hear. There's a certain that
Right.
animals can hear, and then there's beyond that. So ours is very small, but the planets themselves, their rotation creates frequencies. Those have specific sounds that they've recorded. And there's frequencies and sound happening all around us constantly, whether we can hear them and process them through the ears and into the brain, because it's the thing about sound is part of how we understand it is the vibration on our physical body.
Okay.
So when it comes into our ears, we're not actually hearing sound. We're just feeling a vibration that the brain is then translating as something that we've learned before.
Yeah, I did this.
So we've got the two things happening. There's something happening that's vibrating onto our body, that's moving all of the cells, that's moving the water. And there are certain frequencies that each organ has. There's, animals, when the high pitch are certain ones that they don't like, that don't, when there's a resonance, what happens is there's this, right? It flows and moves. And that's when we know it's that we can compare it to something when you walk into a party and there's someone you don't even know, or just there's a connection there. That's a vibrational resonance that's happening because there's quote unquote sound happening from their body, whether it's through thoughts, because now we know that sound isn't actually something we're hearing. It's just a vibration that we're reading. And so you're feeling a certain frequency, and we've learned to, like, someone that you may think you resonate with may not be someone that you resonate with. And we can tell when we walk in spaces, and it may also be where our frequency is, where we are at the moment, where we're vibrating at this exact moment, right? Sometimes you're like, I feel fantastic, and like 80 million people are coming up to you.
Literally.
Why? Because the alignment with how this physical body vibrates is in alignment. There's not something that's happening that's trying to do this and trying to match. You know that when you get in some sort of something with a partner or a friend, something's not, or no matter what you say, they're not hearing it. You're not hearing each other. You're missing. So there's these frequencies that aren't lining up, but when, like, wow, we don't even have to speak, we're hearing each other. I already know what you're saying. That's long distance, right? How'd you know I was going to just call you? I already knew.
How do you're pulling
those
up?
frequencies, even though dogs can hear you pull up from a block away. Our ears are not that good.
I wish. So they get
That's
excited.
wild.
Yeah, it's how they like wait at the door. They're like,
I
hey,
know, it's
been
so
waiting.
That's adorable, and that is mind-blowing at the same time.
Yeah.
What? A block
So
away.
we're really trying to clear out some of the noise that we can't actually hear and we can't physically see, most of us.
Feel it.
But it's something, and if we're attuned and we're quiet and we empty out, we can start to hear what noise that is and say, that's not mine. So that's the first place to start, is understanding. You don't have to go to a sound bath. You're in a bath every time you get up and walking around this planet. You don't need to pay $35 or $50 to go to a sound bath. Does it feel like when you're in there, is that a specific intention and focus on that? Yes. And that helps us to have a group that has the similar intention. They're all there together, focused. There's someone that's holding space. That absolutely helps.
Definitely.
And that's what allows then the nervous system to move into a parasympathetic state. so that it's moving away from any of its reactive states of fight or flight, there's a few different states besides that, but it starts to turn down the noise, right? It's when it's my partner said she's been working so hard. She just felt like she could finally relax, and she fell asleep she's getting whatever she was doing yesterday. And now she's sick today.
Yep, no, 100%.
That is very right. We're so out of tune we're out of tune. Why do you think we use those words? We're out of tune with our body. Every analogy that we use,
like we really hit it. We hit at people and we're like, do you get it yet?
And then the day you finally get something you've been hearing your whole life, and you're like,
how did I not get it?
That was me and Marshall talking earlier. We were talking about the Pink Floyd song Money, and I was like, money, it's a crime. And then I was like, Pink Floyd was before their time, because
it really hit you.
Anyways, but yeah, no, that's analogies really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So when we're out of tune, we know why things, and it's not a bad thing, because it helps us realize, it brings to the surface the patterns that are present. There's one client I've been working with, she brings forth the same, like a pattern of situations we've been dealing with, that she brings up, like, they're playing this game and all the energy gets focused outside. And each of the things I said, so let's look at what a gift that is, because it's bringing up your pattern of feeling like your needs are never being met. And when did they not get met? And how do you do that now for yourself? Because that has nothing to do with anyone else. It is for you to now see that everything you're saying is happening with these other people is actually your system saying, hey, listen to me. I'm telling you, this is what we need right now. So help these parts of ourselves get that healed.
Right.
So that says that, oh, right. So I've been out of tune. And now when I attune to that, I can meet it and heal it and listen to it and really be present for it.
Incredible.
So hopefully that is I don't know if that's answering your question about a tool or how to help.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you
yeah,
got it.
I was like, I feel like it exceeded it really, because I mean, like, it wasn't a very a lot of people give very superficial answers. Not like there's nothing wrong with superficial answers, but it was a very like, instead of it was a very like, wasn't just like, oh, you just do this. It was like, well, it's all around you. It's always here. It's like focusing. So it's like, oh, okay. So
that's what I like too, is it's the idea of bringing yourself back to your original state, that original state of being attuned and being at peace and feeling that calm, serenity, whatever. Because that's what I did when I was at the gym earlier. When I paused, I became conscious. I took a few deep breaths. I attuned myself back, because I realized that I was like all over the place, just because I had a lot of things to do this morning. So
yeah, I meditated twice this morning.
Nice.
Like I woke up and I did my normal, like, okay, this is morning, and we do my morning meditation. And then I was up for a little bit, and then I was like, I'm still not feeling like I should. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna go meditate again and do it for longer. I'm like, because I need to get that. I'm like, I was like, that I was like, that feeling right there shouldn't be there. Yeah. I was like, let me go fix that.
Yeah, tune that.
Yeah, let me go get that fixed real quick.
I think it's very incredible, the timing of all of this too, doing this episode with you today, as we're both going through this in our lives and experiencing the attuning ourselves on a daily basis, multiple times throughout the day, and just keeping that attunement. Reading the thing on your website it was actually a post that you made the other day, and it was about filtering out the noise and realizing which noise just isn't ours, and stuff like that.
Something that stuck with me since I saw it.
Yeah,
like every single day.
And
every single day when I start feeling something, I'll start feeling it, because I was always the one that would feel whatever was around me and immediately assume it was mine, and then go into hyper being like, what is it from, and trying to like hyper analyze where I could pull this feeling from. Yes. And so then, like, after I read it the first time, I started doing it, and I've dramatically changed, where I'm like, I'm like, wait, is this feeling mine or just someone else? And then just like, wait, I'm just like, oh my God, almost all of these feelings are not mine. And I was like, why did I give that my time?
At
Boring.
that point, that's when I'm like, give me the crystals, give me the obsidian,
Yeah, like,
give me
let me go walk
something
away.
so I can like.
Like, what do you channel back there?
And I guess that's like brings me to a next question. Is there things that you can do to not pick up on all of this other energy, or maybe just not as strongly? Is that possible? Like, is that
Or
a
like,
thing?
is it something that is there like a mantra of a sort that you like remind yourself whenever you're starting to feel different things to kind of remember, like, oh, is this really mine or not? Like,
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm.
Do you have any advice?
The more that you sit, the more that you listen, you will start to immediately feel when you're in your physical body and I want to, two things I want to say. I will say that my point of view is that we don't need any tools, one. And I understand that's from a privileged perspective of I haven't been here, so I don't have the same things of patterning that most people do. It's not as hard. Two
Right.
things. Second thing, my partners have a very successful crystal business, huge. And I tell those customers, like, you don't need crystals. Like, you don't
I don't think you
them.
need them either.
I don't think so.
It's like, I feel like people put need and then they hyper focus so much on being like, I can't do this unless I
With
have this, and
that.
this. And it
Mhm.
holds themselves back and be like, you have everything you need in you.
Right.
They could be cool tools, sure, but like, I don't.
Exactly.
They can help.
It's
and
fun, and you get to play with these things, and they are manifest. And
wow.
and not everyone can sit. I'm not expecting everyone to sit in meditation, because meditation isn't just a sitting practice. That's only for some people.
Yeah.
Right.
Meditation is a focus and a concentration on whatever it is that you're doing. Water is constantly moving, and it is constantly meditating,
Mhm.
because it is constantly focused and aware of itself and of its surroundings, how that feels, how it adjusts to things.
Mhm.
And so that is a meditation. So the more that we are listening and attuned and feeling in the somatic sense of how is this cup in my hand. There's a brilliant book from the 70s called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And it is essentially, because that time period, basically that's what it was about. It was about the simpleness of going back to the motions
Mhm.
of repetitive, and finding what is in that you can hear. We've gotten so caught up in the noise that we're so desperate, which is why in all these indigenous practices, plant medicines are so big right now. I was just having an eyebrow wax yesterday, and this is in LA, so it's not surprising that I'm going to walk into this place that like has super famous people that have gone to this person, and they're talking about DMT. Like, let's go to they're going to go to the ceremony. Like, it's not unheard of. This always happens in LA, but that this is so much the desire. It's essential that, like, this is so much of a desire to people to get back to clear, to purge, so that you can really hear what's happening there, because we haven't been listening deeply for so long. We haven't been listening to what the plants have been saying to us. We haven't been listening to what the waters have been saying to us. We haven't been listening to what the stars have been saying to us. We haven't been listening to what the atmosphere has been saying to us. I have a friend who created a machine that basically creates water from the atmosphere around.
Wow.
That's a listening, and we're so like
Mhm.
there it is, and we're bringing, like, these are the pieces that we're really desiring to have in our life. And so it's the deep listening to your movements and to what's around you that is the tool.
Right. Wow.
The rest is fun to play with.
Right. You yourself, the listening, that is the tool. That's all you need. And that's something I keep hearing on like videos and stuff that I'm watching. It's stop trying to like focus so much on healing these things. You are complete how you are right now.
Yeah, it's like getting hyper focused on healing
and using all these tools and learning all these things, when really, instead of go learn, you just need to sit and breathe.
Mhm.
Like,
Or
what you-
get in the water, or dig your hands in the dirt,
Ugh,
or
so much fun.
whatever it is that's drawing you to
Right.
those. Be those. Be those, literally. Don't do those. Be those. Be the water. Be in a relationship. We're seeking a relationship. Be in a relationship to the earth. What is that like? What is that intimate experience like, to be in relationship to the dirt, and to the water, and to the birds, all of that? That's the tool.
I love that. That was a great answer. Thank you. I guess this was definitely a question that was kind of meant for earlier, but we were wondering, so the memory of like the ship and where you came from, your origin and stuff. So were you born like with that? You knew that from the get-go, or did you have kind of like
like a repressive period or whatever.
No, I have been with that knowing for a long time. I remember watching TV, and the bodies would turn into what we see as these weird alien figures, because that's the only way that they can be put into understanding from the brain. But
right.
everything would
Mhm.
become these plasmic states for me. So it wasn't, and coming into this family that I was put in, or this wasn't, I already knew that I had no attachment to this family.
Right.
I don't have the same attachment to family. I do now, I get it more finally, but I don't understand why people would still talk to family. Would you let someone treat you like that and still talk to that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that and say just because they're family? It doesn't make any sense to me. There's no connection like that for me.
Right
Yeah, I
there.
was say
So,
we were both raised very much so where it was very much like family is your family, and that's how it is, in the South in Louisiana. And
Blood's thicker than water.
literally,
Who
like
cares?
that meant
Water's better.
anything. And it was a few years ago where I finally had the moment where I was just like, no. Why? Because they told me that. I'm like, I don't believe it though.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I'm like, you're not going to treat me bad. Like, you treat me well to be in my life. If you're family, cool. If you don't act like, I'm only going to allow people around me that I feel like respect me in the same regard that I respect them.
Right.
yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that 1000%. That whole ideology and attachment that people possess nowadays is, at this point in my life, is pretty bewildering to me. But at one point, I was stuck in that. So I understand it, but it's also like, I only understand it because I understand how everybody's in the robot mode and asleep and not consciously thinking about these things. So they're not thinking that they deserve to be spoken to and treated better. So, but
Yeah, it's like a weird state.
So, didn't you say that your father was also so?
Yep. When I was, our birthdays were very close together. Where they're 2 days apart. And everything I did was with him. Everything. He was the one that I knew in this family that I was close to. And when I turned 12, 5 days later, he was crushed between two trucks. So it all happened within, like, his was 24th of July, mine's 26th. He was killed the 30th. So it was the only day that he said I couldn't go with him. It's probably a good thing, but
I think so. I think you were meant to stay here. He was meant to go home.
Well, so yes, I probably was not meant to see that. But it was that this had been long enough and he needed to go back, and now it was my turn to do the work. And so that was stepping up from then on. Okay, I had stepped up into this entirely new role and what it looked like on this planet was, at 12, I was the only one to stand up at his funeral and give a speech. from then on, I was basically put into an adult role because there was no other figures that could hold that role, which was fine because it was now the time that I needed to start working in this way that I needed to be working with humanity, even though there was quite a ways to go. This was the early 80s. So there was a lot of work to still get to this point.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine having lived.
Yeah, I was about to say,
through all
I
of
can't
that.
imagine, like, since, we're,
I think I did in a past life, but
I can't imagine sitting there. Like, obviously there's a lot of areas that I feel like haven't really progressed too well. Excuse me, there's a lot of things that we have that I'm like, I can't imagine being there and like seeing kind of like that, like how people are evolving and like watching different waves of what's popular, what's going on right now, and kind of seeing what sticks. I feel like it's very fascinating. I can't wait for that.
yeah, because like we have just such a tiny
It's like we can compare our little blip.
of the timeline, but you have a bigger timeline to look at, and so wow,
It's very fascinating.
Yeah. So that was then. There was a moment when I was told that he was gone, that from then on I went out, because I often did that, and the message was, you've got to come back in. So I've always had one in, one out, and
interesting.
that's not necessarily like different than, yes, I can go into a plasmic state and go back to those energies, but it's been always, do I want to stay in this body? Because we have a choice, and it's not a big deal to leave it. So there was many times like, you got to keep making this decision to stay in the body if you want to be here. You can't be halfway in, halfway out. You have to be in this body. It doesn't help anything to be one in the both places.
So when you say both places, is it, I guess, somewhat of like a mind realm kind of? I guess that's what we would call it. But so when you say you go away, you go.
So that's different. So even we can move into a plasmic state, and that allows it can be, there's a similarity to astral traveling.
Okay.
But it's also that moving into a plasmic state, anyone can do this. Anyone can, and it's not something that we're going to, it's a fragmented state in a certain way. And it allows pieces to move into different dimensional understandings and back into different galactic origins, so that when it does come back in, there could be a different matrix that's formed within the body, because the energy has experienced a different frequency and shifting. So then when it settles back in, it then vibrates at different frequencies that can help cellular regeneration, illness. Hence why you can go out, get information, get frequency, come back and heal the physical body.
Wow. Well, I definitely would love to visit California and do a session with you one day, that's for sure. I'm gonna have to make that happen. So the last time that we talked, you mentioned water structures a few times. I'm just gonna go ahead. What exactly do you mean by that? What is a water structure?
So these are physical devices, but you can also, anything that, so water itself is a molecular structure that is, when it's not structured, it changes its partners constantly. So we know the structure of water. We've seen it before. It looks like this, a circle, and then two off of there, oxygen, two hydrogens. It's constantly breaking its bonds and reconnecting its bonds. But when we structure water, which is basically creating a vortex, and a vortex is just like when you see your water go down the bathtub, that's a vortex.
Okay.
So when we create a vortex, and depending on if we do it in a double helix shape, similar to DNA, which these water structures do that, basically it's just a device that has a double helix configuration inside that allows the water to come through it.
Mhm.
Whether you're, so say spring water is already structured in that double helix format. When we take that spring water and we move it into pipes or we move it through dams, all of a sudden we've pushed it in through this shape. You notice when you look at how things, if we haven't created a man-made river, things move in a flowing snake-like form. It allows it to move along the edges and gather minerals up. It brings it down. It comes back up. So that is, again, vortexes being created. So that's how the spring water gets that structure. That is a very strong structure. Once that spring water has that structure, nothing can unstructure it unless there's something like EMFs, something else that pulls it apart.
Wow.
Because once it's structured, it's structured.
Right.
The water in our body is structured water. When it's unstructured, that's when we get things like cancer, because cancer is just a proliferation of improper cells. It's all it is. It's no big deal.
Right.
Like none of these things are big deals. And no one likes being told to them because, and my partner has an autoimmune illness. It is rough, these things, but in the basis of things, when we go back down, it's just cellular water that isn't structured, because the structure is what allows it to function properly and to process properly.
Right.
So if we're bringing in structured water to our body, we're then hydrating it in the way, because hydration is not, once you're thirsty, you're way past dehydration. If I right now I'm like, I'm thirsty, get some water, past dehydration.
Yeah. I'm probably dehydrated right now.
100% of the population is.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the guy, I cannot remember his name. He did the
Emoto.
experiment. Yes. What do you think about that? Like praying over your water, talking to your water, restructuring it through, like, is that an intention? Is that like?
Yep, that can absolutely help to structure water. I think for me, the easiest way is to vortex it. And then you can add intention to that, because what it's doing is it's communicating, it's allowing vibration to communicate and to hold information in that structure.
Right.
It's as if you're putting a piece of paper that says something in a strong structure. And then when you put that piece of paper in something else, it's then going to understand that language, because our body understands frequency and vibration and geometric structure. And that's what water is, right? A geometric, and the structured water is very specific because it resonates with the structured water in our cells, external, internal in the cells. So that can then give it the information that it needs to help to create a resonance towards that particular energy.
Wow. Yeah, for a while, and I'm not in a habit of doing it, but when I think about it, I do it. But I'll before I chug a glass of water or something, I'll say thank you for cleansing, purifying, and hydrating every cell in my body. And just, so it's cool to know that, like, or to have that validation from you about how that really is. Yeah, especially I feel like it's when it comes to that kind of stuff, we're still very early on where the validation helps a lot, because we were both like had a lot of religious like trauma as a child. So it was like all these things that we do now where like you were going to hell, you're the devil, none of those things worked, or woo woo. And so like now we're like this feels right, but is it? We're always like, so we're just like we're looking for that validation. There's like the little validations. We're like, okay, we're good. You noticing that in me? No, because I do the same thing. I do the same exact thing. So I'm like, we definitely do. It's 100% that. Well, I'm gonna definitely try and get more into the habit of that, because I have heard, a lot about the water, the drinking water and tap water, how it's not necessarily good for us. So right, it's like all the like sharp turns and stuff in the pipes and stuff, I guess. Yeah.
Yep, that is one piece, as well as it's if we look on the contaminant level,
Yeah, I was like dirty water.
There's another level is what level is the fluoride in there, the chlorine, there's all that piece as well.
Oh, that dang
There's-
fluoride.
There's so many different levels of it.
Yeah, I was like, there's so many things they
Yeah.
put in water.
So what's the best water to drink? Natural
Spring water. From the source, spring water.
I want a commune and I want a natural spring on that commune.
Pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Spring water.
That's fair.
Yeah. My mom just actually bought some land and there's a natural spring, I think. Or she either said there is or she's hoping to find one. So, I hope she finds one if there's. But, do you have any other questions? For now, that's pretty much all I can think of.
I was like, I think it's very much, I feel like a good introduction both to us and to our viewers, very educational,
Definitely.
validating in many ways.
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much.
I was like, thank you so
Sure.
much for taking time out of your day, especially before you go on a flight, in between stuff you have going on.
Seriously.
Very much appreciated.
Yeah,
this
thank
is-
you.
This has been extremely informative, and also I'm just excited, honestly, after talking
Good.
with you. And I don't know, I felt like this connection was obviously meant to happen, and I'm very, very, very grateful for it. And I'm excited to continue learning things from you in the future, for sure. Maybe I
Fantastic.
hope I can teach you something one day.
We are all learning. We just never, we find out exactly how it is in different ways all the
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on.
Definitely.
problem.
Safe travels on your trip
Thank
back
you.
to Oregon, and we will talk soon.
That sounds great. Thanks, you guys.
Thank
Alright,
you.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. That was incredible.
Very exciting.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys got
Something
anything out of that,
anything at
because
all.
like if any of you guys look to us as spiritual mentors, which I hope that's not the case, but if any of you do, talking to Yale just now, like that's
very,
you're a mentor to
very
me.
educational, like we were saying, like validating. There was a lot of things in that was validating.
Oh.
I know for both of us.
Without a
I
doubt.
was like, and it was
I'm
very
kind of
much
shaking right now. That I'm
yeah,
so
well,
excited.
there's a lot of things that were very validating, so I hope that there was at least one thing in there that was validating to you, because for me, you're growing up, people always talk about your elders, people just older than you, they're more wise, they've been here longer, so Yale
Mhm.
is older than us, and so having a perspective of someone that is older than us, that's been
That
doing this
like
for
doubles
longer.
our age.
Yeah,
I
like,
don't know
doubles
how
our
old they
age,
are, but
like,
grew
I-
up in the 80s. So
Yeah,
that's
I think they
at
said
least
when we
40,
talked to them,
so like it's like
I think when we talked to them the first time, I think they said they've been around for 50 cycles, but I could be wrong. Like
Oh, you
cycles
know what,
around
I
the
think,
sun.
yeah.
I think that's what they said. Regardless, so about like around double
I just
our
love
age,
the way
which
that they
is-
speak, the terminology, the
Yes.
analogies.
so like
just-
it's very. Hopefully, y'all agree that it's easy to digest.
Mhm.
And I hope y'all
Wow.
found that helpful in any capacity. And I hope y'all liked having our first guest. We'll eventually have
Yes, let us
other guests
know.
through Zoom. We want to have some guests in person too.
Yeah, we
and
will
we'll still
have some
have our-
in-person guests.
And we'll still have our solo
Definitely.
stuff sometimes too. So I hope y'all are
So,
excited for this new season that
Yes.
we've been
our
doing.
20th episode with our first guest. Woo! Thanks so much, everybody who's been with us on this journey. We
Anyone who's
appreciate
been
it.
here since any of the beginnings, like we've been in this for like 4 something months now, I think.
Yeah.
So anyone who's been here since like the first month or
we
two,
started in January. It's been like 8
Holy
months.
shit. Well, yeah. Well, I think we didn't start posting till
I think we started posting in February.
anybody who's been here for over like 4 months, even people who just got here. What's up? The people who've been here.
We appreciate you guys. Hope y'all have a great weekend whenever you're watching this. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Stay hydrated, drink some water.
Love and gratitude. Drink your water.